Hello everybody and welcome back for some more Redstone Fun. Today we'll be taking a look at my version of the Elytra Launcher. I'm wearing my wings right now, but don't forget to wear armor because it's very important you don't die when flying in this thing. It's very powerful. As you'll see in just a second, here we go with our first test flight. Here we go with our first test flight. That's what I'm talking about. Now that's some power. Alright, so as you can see, we are getting pretty close. Okay, we didn't hit it, but we almost hit 450 blocks at relatively close to about regular spawn level. So you can see how strong this thing is in a regular world. I'll just take a quick test flight around the area. As you can see, that looked pretty cool. And spawn behind us is a very nice backdrop. Anyhow, enough of the flying. Let's go take a look at the redstone, shall we? Alright, so as you can see, the device itself is actually rather compact. It's 5 by 3 and it's 5 tall, which is very efficient and very resource friendly. Now you don't actually need any extra launching pads, as you can see here. The slime block is where you're going to be launching from. It's a little close, so you might take a little getting used to, but we'll go for a quick test flight here. There we go. And now that launcher was at 0, so as you can see, we're getting pretty close. We hit 330 there as our max height. This thing flies about 400 or so if you get it pretty good. So we'll head on back down to the device and I'll show you guys how I set it up. To start out, you're going to want to have a 3 by 3 area like so, and it can be made out of any blocks that you're going to be building the device on. Next, you're going to want to put down 4 fence posts like so, and at the end of the fence posts, you have to put a sign. This is to hold the water, which is very important to the design setup. Next thing you want to do is grab a quick dispenser, where the boats are going to be coming out of, and put it just at the end, like so. Now, it's hard to see in that device, but there is water. You might be thinking I should put 2 water source blocks, like so. No. What you're going to want to do is put 1 water source block and have the water going towards the dispenser. This is very important. Next, you're going to want to take 2 sticky slime blocks and put it on top of the dispenser. And at the end of it, put 1 glass pane. Now, since it's slime blocks, you need a block that doesn't get moved by them. I've chosen to use furnaces in this case. And then at the end of the slime blocks, which is going to be pushed, you're going to want to put 1 sticky piston or regular piston. It's up to you. And next, what you're going to be doing is, before we load it, the button is going to go over here, but you should load up your dispenser and just grab a quick hopper and a couple chests. There we go. Now it doesn't matter which side you load it from. You will be getting rid of this after anyway. But you're going to want to load it with 2 chests of boats. Now to do this, since I'm in a creative world, I'm going to quickly grab myself a command block and set it up so that it simply gives me a bunch of boats to load it really quickly. So the command is /give me boats, and you want to give yourself 64 just because it'll be quick. And then all you have to do is power the command block. Oh, I forgot to switch it to... There you go. So now to quickly give you a bunch of boats, and you quickly load up the chests. In survival worlds, you have to do it manually, but yeah, it shouldn't take you too long. Now that the device has been loaded with boats, what you're going to want to do is make a quick clock to shoot this out. Now, in survival, you can use any kind of clock, but for multiplayer worlds, it's a little bit more tricky. Some worlds are a little laggy, some worlds have different ticks. It's kind of hard to figure it out. You might have to just kind of work this out. The design I used for the multiplayer world I was playing on is like so. I found a comparator clock was too fast and it wasn't dispensing the boats the proper way. You have to have the boats on top of each other, so this part is a little crucial and it might take a bit of playing around to figure it out. So I used 2 comparators, 2 comparator clocks, going into repeaters, 1 on 1 tick delay and 1 just as it is. And you power it, and it should start dispensing the boats into the water, into the slime block. Just above the water into the slime block. And at the front of it, I almost forgot, you have to put these glass panes. That'll be important later. But it'll be hard to place with the boats there. So I just gotta grab a torch and start the clock. And it's a little bit slower, but it was like this because it was on a multiplayer server. And getting the placements of the boats is very important. So I'm just gonna wait for this to finish, and then we'll get to the next part of the design. Alright, now that the boats have finished dispensing, you can get rid of your clock. This is all temporary, so just break it, get rid of it, keep the redstone for future, devices. And you also can get rid of the chest, because you only have to load this thing once. Now, the crucial part of the design is the next part, besides the water, which also plays a part in it, is that now all of these blocks are dispensed above the water and in the slime blocks, and boats get pushed by slime blocks. So when you power this piston, it pushes all of the boats forward, but they're all still stacked on top of each other. And the water going towards the dispenser pulls the boats back. And if you get rid of these two now, what you can do now is set up where you're going to be launching from. So grab a furnace or another block that doesn't get moved by a slime block, break this block, and put it in that spot. And either the right or the left side, whichever you want to shoot it from. You can also break the dispenser, it doesn't affect the boats. And if this water wasn't here and it was actually going the other way, all of these boats in the device would have just shot out that way. It's crazy. So for the next part, you're going to have to build the part where you actually fly into. So this part here, just above where these glass panes are, it's 2 blocks high. You could build it higher, but for the sake of keeping it compact, I went with 2. And either if you want to fly that way, you're going to want to put the glass panes on the right side. If you want to fly that way, put it on the left side. This just makes it easier to go into. And you put a couple signs here to stop the water. And just before I forget, put the sign on the bottom. This stops the water from flowing through and affecting the boats. Now for the next part, what you're going to want to do is you have to have the water you fly into. You put 1 water source block at the top, and it's too high water, but the water is going down, so when you fly into it, it's pushing you down towards the boats. Just set it to day, and we can go for our first test flight with the design. Here we go again with our second test flight. So we launch, fly into it, and it shoots you out. And it's really strong. Let's see how high we can get this time. Oh, we got higher this time. Ooh, we didn't quite break 400, but it's pretty close. 372 is pretty high. So one thing that happens after you've taken your first flight is the boats disperse. Now, what's going to happen is if you were to fly through the device right now, one of 2 things would happen. One, you could fall straight through it without touching the boats because there's a slightly larger gap now, or you'll be shot off. So what you want to do to fix this is just in front of it, what you're going to want to do is put 3 half slabs. Now, the reason for this is because when you're in your flying elytra mode, you'll be up against the blocks for just long enough for you to get shot out properly. And that is how it works. Before we end off, I just want to give a special thank you to GT Experience on YouTube. I saw his design first, and I based my design off of his. Of course, link to his design is in the description below, as well as a link to the download of this world, as always. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode of Redstone Fun, and I'll see you next week for fireworks.